Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Ghana. It's Thursday, the 27th day of February 2014. It's a great, beautiful day and I'm happy to join you. The program is proudly brought to you by Lipton, a sign of good taste. I'm Josephine Oppong-Yeboah and I'm stepping in for your regular host, Randy Abe. Let me run you through some of the issues making headlines on the various newspapers. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, FAR renders 500 jobless at Kumasi Central Market. At the top right corner of the paper, Oppong water treatment plant shuts down today. NPP NEC direct rerun of polls in 6 constituencies and 2 cops, BNI officer in court for dealing in drugs. The Ghanaian Times, BNI man 2 cops arrested for trading in cocaine. The Chronicle, NDC couple swindles job seekers. Barmaid boss stripped naked. And still on the front page, at the top right corner, no funds for district hospitals, says Minister for Health, Sherry Ayute. The Enquirer newspaper, fallout from State of the Nation address, tall balls heartbeat for company's rebirth, says joint venture with Petrol Saudi is a coming master stroke and hails Mahama. Still on the front page, after JM State of the Nation address, NPP in fear and panic as moves to lay claim to free SHS backfires. Daily Guide, front page story, man strangles wife over sex. Cops BNI officer caged over cocaine. Vicky Hammer breaks silence over panty thieves. And Sag Bevlo Legondines petition Mahama. The Daily Dispatch, after State of Nation address, implementing policies more key, and it comes with a picture of President John Dramani Mahama, Vice President Pakwese Mr. Arthur Answer Tepe, Finance Minister. The New Crusading Guide, Jigida man released from Insawem. The Insight, Kunedi for President, and it comes with a picture of former First Lady Nakunedo Ajiman Rawlings and Jerry Rawlings. The Ghanaian Lens, free SHS, Mahama has been most consistent. The National Democrat, Chia, Ghana police more interested in arresting suspected molesters of 3 female thieves than arresting suspect who stole baby at the Oppong-Yeboah Teaching Hospital. Asabi surrenders to acquaintance, throws in towel in court, and it comes with a picture of Honorable Acquaintance Kwanzaa and Asamoah Boateng. Daily Post, big shame, gender activists prefer to fight for 3 thieves than for the mother whose child has been stolen at the Oppong-Yeboah Teaching Hospital. And it comes with a picture of Sweba, mother of the stolen baby, and the alleged 3 girls who stole panties at the Accra Mall of Mr. Price. The New Statesman, NPP others rerun elections in 6 constituencies. Daily Heritage, teachers bare teeth at government threaten strike actions over scrapping of 3 allowances, of trainee allowance, trainee allowance. The Daily Searchlight, Mahama in by heart promises. The Al-Hajj newspaper, at the President's sessional address, Mahama dazes MPs backed. And the Blenders must end. Today newspaper, more water wahala as the Ghana Water Company Limited shuts down Oppong treatment plant today. And still on the front page, Kumasi Central Markets on fire again. Business Finder, economy expert gloomy despite assurances from President Mahama. And our final newspaper, Daily Express, Ghana still the most attractive investment destination in West Africa, says President Mahama. And Ghana gets forest management certification standard. Okay, so these are the issues on our various newspapers. Let's go for a short breather, after which I'll be introducing my guest to you, and then we'll start with the discussion. Hello again, welcome back to the show. Good morning, Ghana, live here from our studios at Metro Television. And my guest for this morning on my media left is Honorable RASHED, who is the MP for Wa Central and also a Minister of State at the Presidency. Honorable, good morning.
Good morning.
Our next name is Honorable Abdul Malik. Yes.
No.
You don't want?
I don't qualify.
Oh, that's a matter. You don't qualify. You do.
No.
With all your status, what are you getting all
It's
the while?
actually strictly for legislators.
Okay, so Mr. Malik KWEKU Jr. is the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, so beginning the very first discussion, on the front page of the Daily Graph, it says fire renders 500 jobless at Kumasi Central Market. The story reads on page 3, and it's by Donald Atu Dapson. And the story says more than 500 traders lost their sources of livelihood when an inferno engulfed sections of the Kumasi Central Market early yesterday. The fire, which began at about 1:30 a.m., raised down about 300 shops and stores, destroying food items, cosmetics, clothes, jewelry and wigs, among other items. The affected traders, who could not control their emotions, broke down in tears. Many of them wondered where they would be able to secure funds to either restart their businesses or pay the loans they had obtained from banks and other financial institutions in their trading activities. Personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service, who responded to a distress call, took 4 hours to bring the fire under control. And lack of access to the market caused by the haphazard nature of portions of the Kumasi Central Market contributed to the inability of the firemen to quench the fire on time. So I begin with you, Mr. KWEKU. BAAKO. Factors, we all know about this outbreak of fires here and there. A couple of months ago, running into a year now, the rampant pace at which we hear issues of fire outbreaks. And then some experts from America came into the country to ascertain the causes of the various fires. The reports which we still haven't gotten wind of the causes yet. This is another second fire outbreak at the Kumasi Central Market. What is happening?
Maybe you mean second in recent times.
Yes,
but
second in recent
the last
times,
time I checked, I'm sure that's become almost a regular feature of that place. And that's the key point. You know, I'm not an expert, but I've been monitoring the news media since the incident. And I heard the fire service, one of the fire service officers indicating that they had recommended certain measures, steps that the market women or the traders, because they are not all women actually, should undertake, and that those things had not been adhered to. So it comes back to the point we've been making, the way we've structured our markets, and that comes to the the Metropolitan Authority as well, because they are in charge basically. So what kind of market have we put in place? What kind of electricals have we done there? The connections and things. We, at the risk of boring our, viewers, because I'm not sure one is going to say anything new. We've been recycling the same thing. We've been lamenting and all the rest. Yet we've put in place people who we are paying to ensure that we have appropriate markets. And those markets are built according to the bylaws of those authorities. So I'm beginning to think, whilst the women are lamenting and crying, I'm beginning to think that at the end of the day, we should look at the authorities that we've put in place and see what they are doing. If the laws, if the bylaws are ineffective, we better strengthen them. But I suspect that they are sufficient, and that it is that culture of lack of enforcement that may be where the problem is. We've spoken about the need for insurance and all those things. I don't know if they do. Because you hear the women lament, wailing, talking about how they've lost all their goods, how they want government to intervene to help them. It's the same old story. And I'm sorry, I don't want to sound too harsh, because I know as we speak, we are a bit detached. Those whose goods and properties were burnt, in a certain emotional crisis now, distress, if you like. So one has to be careful. But we've got to a stage that I think we should be dispassionate too. Too much emotions and passion do not produce the scientific solutions. So what is happening? The metropolitan authorities, I'm not restricting myself to Kumasi alone at this stage, the regional administration, the central government, the fire service institution, aren't we capable? I'm not saying that fires can never take place. They do take place, even in the advanced countries. But in our case, it's becoming a regular feature. It got to a stage we were looking for an army of arsonists to bust for this. It was obvious that that was just a speculative, I'm sorry, I nearly said speculative nonsense, you understand? But that's not what happened. Now we brought in the US, experts to come and investigate. We don't have their report. That's part of the Ghanaian problem. Many of the fire outbreaks were investigated by the appropriate authorities, particularly the fire service. Where are those reports? Are they, even if they don't want to give it to us as a public for consumption, for us to read, how about they consolidating them as a basis for looking at the causes and, for that matter, solutions? So, to be honest, I'm not an expert, but we always come and sit on these programs and recycle our positions and lament. That is not the way forward for a nation like Ghana. 57 years soon. Yeah.
Honorable PALPUO, the issue of fire outbreak. Now, we don't seem to hear of it anymore. But this is the second time in Kumasi Central Market. What has happened to the report? Probably I am thinking that if the report is, put in the public domain, maybe there may be certain recommended measures that will guide the market women or, traders per se on measures as to how to prevent fires or what to do to curb it.
Well, I believe that the technical aspect of it will be left to those who are implementing and enforcing the laws on market regulations and putting up market, ensuring structures are properly kept, and also ensuring that electricity connection to those structures are properly done. Just this morning, I was listening to somebody who was diagnosing the problem, and he said he saw a shop in which 10 people were connecting to that same shop using 1 meter by a single person who was then collecting monies from each of them every month. And for each person who connected was also sharing the light with another person and was also collecting money from somebody else. So you see a jammed up system in which 1 meter had to be overloaded by several people, some using heavy appliances. Of course, there may be some recommendations, or there were some recommendations made, and it will be important that the metropolitan chief executives, assembly, district chief executives and municipal chief executives, it's important for them to have a seminar or some kind of a training program which will allow them to see how to apply their the wide powers at their disposal in managing markets, and how to look out for such troubles before they occur. I agree with most of the things, or all the things that my colleague and friend has said. But beyond that is the fact that the human factor is important. The person who is in charge of the market, who is in charge of his store, must be conscious about what he does with his electricity. he must also be conscious about what he uses there, the gas appliances, the gas cookers they use there, the kinds of things they do. Some people even sleep in their shops and all that, cook there, eat there, you know, and all that. So it's important that in doing so, each of us are our brother's keeper or sister's keeper, that you don't overstep the bounds of security arrangements, because one single mistake made by one single person can cause the mayhem we are watching or witnessing. So it's important that we don't just look at government or government people to apply the rules and then to follow it up, but also for each individual who is a subject of this discussion to also be conscious about what they do, so that, you know, it should be a shared responsibility of everybody taking care of themselves and of every other person. This is a very sad event, and I also sympathize with those who have lost their property through this happenings. It might just be because of a single fellow who may have made a mistake or deliberately done something, but it shows that lots of people are suffering as a result. So we are sending our I don't know what to say. We are wishing them well and hoping that it will never happen again. But I have something for my good friend, the Metropolitan Chief Executive. He's a very, very tough guy, and I know when he's committed to do the right, he does it without fear. I want to encourage him to do something about the Kumasi market. The certain that the vehicle could not find space into the market is something he has to look at. Demolition have to occur in the market. The market has to be arranged in such a way that vehicles can go in where there is fire. There must be space. People who are congested must be asked to space out. If they cannot stay in the market, they have to relocate to another market, because it is so shameful and embarrassing that at every point in time you have this thing occurring in Kumasi markets. And this is also the heartbeat of our financial, it's a financial hub. It's a very serious matter that we should be having all these things going in flames. The newspaper is reporting that 500 jobs are lost.
Yeah.
We can't ascertain that. I don't know how they ascertain it. But if it's just a speculative assessment, it shows that lots of people have lost their property. And he must just be up and doing.
Okay.
I know he can do it. He has done it before. He's a determined person. And I know with this caution and advice, he will go further than he has ever gone.
All right, so shifting our way to other stories. On the front page of the Enquirer newspaper, it says, Store boards upbeat for company's rebirth. And the story is by Stanley Aso Jr. It says, Managing Director of the Tema Oil Refinery is beside himself with exacting expectations for the future of the refinery, following President John Dramani Mahame's announcement of materializing joint venture with Petrol Saudi. In the State of the Nation's address to Parliament on Tuesday this week, the President revealed an ambitious plan to revamp TOR, whose operation has been in difficulty for a long time now, saying the considered roadmap to recovery of the refinery is a joint venture agreement with Petrol Saudi. Details of the agreement with Petrol Saudi were absent from the President's address, but the Enquirer has gathered from TOR's managing director that the prospects on the horizon are very huge. Shortly after the President's address, he told journalists that the joint venture agreement is to nourish a strategic expansion of the refinery. This strategic expansion is targeted at ensuring that the petroleum needs of the whole country are always covered, backed with constantly available surplus that will make the periodic shortages that lead to crisis and prices hike on the local market, a thing of the past. As part of the planned bulk distribution companies are to refine all types of petroleum products except liquefied petroleum gas (LPG). However, in spite of the good plan, the money for its implementation has not been available. He went on to say that on its own is unable to borrow from abroad because the refinery sheets are not favorable, making it not credit wealthy. On a local front too, he said banks in the country are just too overstretched and cannot extend any meaningful credit lines to the refinery for the ambitious revamp. This situation is what makes the joint venture with Petro Saudi very exciting. I'll start with you, Honorable RASHED PALPUO.
Well, it's one of the measures or initiatives announced by the president in his State of the Nation address. You know, it's I vote for this, and I'm very excited about it. That toll, which had been a source of debts to this country, once again, will now go back to its normal self long before it started accumulating debt and performing poorly. When you inject private capital into it and private management initiatives into it, it brings along with it its efficiency and drive. So hopefully this is going to change the face of TOR. I know that TOR people, workers, had been in arms complaining that they don't want to privatize TOR because they think that if they do so, they will lose their jobs. And now they are even losing more jobs than they have ever lost. Because if you are not working and you are sitting down, eventually you will be laid off. But I know that if Petro Saudi is able to come in and they are able to find the money to inject into its refurbishment and remanage and reorganization, things are going to change. And we are all excited about the new thinking that is coming up in how we want to manage our economy. First of all, we have to ensure that domestic management of our economy is right, and that we are able to generate enough revenue, domestic revenue, by ensuring that more Ghanaian companies are in the economy. Also ensure that companies that are producing in this economy, we support them to be able to export. And again, we try hard to make sure we reduce our imports of goods that we can produce and consume in this country. And so TOR is one area that I believe will create this kind of confidence that we can do it if we are able to get our refinery right, so we don't all the time carry crude oil outside the country. It is a very painful thing if you get to understand what you lose by just selling crude oil to somebody. You know, you would have lost all the advantage of processing and adding value to the products. So you buy refined oil after you have exported crude. You buy bitumen to use to do your streets. You buy all the other 7 or 8 chemicals that are extracted from crude. So, and for each of them, some of them are even more expensive than the petrol and diesel which we normally consume in this country. And yet, we just bulk all of it together and export. So hopefully, if TOR is properly situated, the advantage is that TOR can process lots of our oil. We can have our petrochemical industry more properly, enhanced, so that we can boost the economy in the direction we all want it to go.
So how soon are we to expect this revamp?
Well, hopefully there must be an agreement. There's already a commitment by Petro Saudi to come in to partner with us to be able to invest in this direction. The president at the moment it remains at a level of policy and political decisions, and those are cleared. So we will now do the nitty-gritty, and I believe very soon it will be announced and we all will know exactly what is happening.
Mr. BAAKO.
Well. I am hoping that we will not make this whole idea or venture an object of political tug of war, because it's happened before. It's happened before. The idea of divesting TOR through the mode of joint venture is not new. Indeed, the NDC2 administration under Mr. Rawlings had it on its drawing boards with IMF and World Bank support, beginning somewhere 98, 99 to 2000. It didn't materialize. In 2001, when the Kufuor administration assumed office, they decided to go along with that option, and there was total chaos in this country. Maybe Honorable has forgotten. It became a serious controversy with the NDC that had given birth to that idea in collaboration with the World Bank and the IMF, protesting vigorously against the idea of making a joint venture out of TOR. Then I think Samsung was the company on board. J.H. Mensah and others went to Japan, Korea, and did some analysis, and all the doctors, I have all both. And so we even did a comparative analysis of the NDC version and the NPP version. There were Mr. Prepara and somebody else, I've forgotten whose name, they had signed a memorandum of understanding to the effect of making TOR a joint venture. J.H. Mensah also entered into a memorandum of understanding. So we did a comparative analysis of the two. There were few marginal differences. The principle being the same, the trust being the same, that look, let's recapitalize TOR. TOR had had some recapitalization under the Rawlings administration. I think it was Samsung or a Korean thing. I'm not too clear of the names now, which led to some expansion, relative expansion of TOR. It ended, that process completed under the Kufuor administration. We just made so much noise, and everybody forgot the economic. Some of us are ideological to the extent that we might even have suggested that, look, let's have only state-owned TOR. But I think realities of contemporary economics had moved to the middle, and everybody was prepared for that kind of venture. Our friends said, no way.